A lot of people don't understand this, and I understand where it comes from in the sense of saying, hey, nobody says proudly, I was part of special education, where they do in, they say, oh, well, I was in the gifted program. You know why they do that? They do that fundamentally the same way that people who never deployed talk about their basic training experiences. That's the one thing they have to cling to because they don't have anything else. The military members who never deployed always talk about their basic training experiences or their tech school experiences because they don't have deployment stories. Everybody else who deploys has deployment stories, right? That's the kind of baseline with this. People who talk about being gifted as a child, as an adult, fundamentally didn't succeed. Because if they succeeded, they would have other things to talk about. And that's sort of the point, because when we look at the statistics about all of this, we look at the data over the years of these kinds of gifted programs, what do we see? The people who succeed by these standards already had privilege. The people who succeed are the white families where mommy and daddy are still together and they have a middle class or higher income and they help their darling baby go through the advanced programs through high school, help them get into college, guide their way, and get them into these high-level things. But it wasn't the academically gifted programs that actually got them there. It was all the rest of their privilege and having supports that their families provided for them. It's having the means and the baselines of that. Because when they evaluate people who came from parents who didn't have a college education, or came from poverty, or were black or brown or indigenous, or had other factors like they were disabled but were not identified as such during that time, or all of these other things, right? When you start looking at the other data of who was identified as gifted and didn't go anywhere, it looks a lot like systemic marginalization. That's the results. That's the results. Those of us we had smoke blown up our asses about how smart we were, and then that was used to gaslight us about why we weren't succeeding, that we just weren't trying hard enough. We were told that our IQ alone, that our smartness alone was enough that we should be able to succeed in this system while actively marginalizing us in so many ways. Like, that's the fucking problem. And like, I hate that some people are making this about like a special education versus the gifted kids who had all the opportunities. What opportunities? The opportunity to do more paperwork? Like, I'm sure some places actually had enrichment, but if you are going to afford the supposed enrichment, like field trips and visits to the college, you had to pay for those. If you came from poverty, you didn't get to go on field trips like that. That wasn't a thing. At least where I come from, it's not. Like, so it just... The supposed privilege of getting this label wasn't really a privilege for anybody. From what my experiences and knowledge about it is. I'm sure for somebody it was a benefit, but everything I've seen shows that the people who truly succeeded had lots of other vectors of privilege all the way along.